my last lump of coal I'm giving to the architects of so-called critical theory, the creators of what has become DEI. Um, Basically, the American people rejected this. The extremism of dividing people and slicing them and dicing people up by gender or race or disability. The concept of the United States is always e pluribus unum, that we're coming together. And so my goal or my request for the folks over at the Critical Theory Factory, please go read a history book instead of making up these dark, twisted fairy tales that are divorced from reality. And that's just my free advice for Democrats. I'm feeling charitable. If you want to win again, don't divide people this way. Don't make people feel like they're evil. Don't throw the words Nazi around. That's one thing that's interesting about how smoothly the elections ran. That almost immediately it was like, oh yeah, Trump's a cool guy. Yeah, like Biden's going to be giving him a big Cheshire cat grin at the White House, even though just shortly before that they'd called him a Nazi and said that he was all these horrible things. And so another request.
One of it is that the Democrats actually still play by the rules. And so when they lose elections, they admit it graciously. And they also do the tradition, which Trump violated, of having the president-elect come to the White House. So, and I must admit, it's a little rich to hear a Trump supporter pontificate about making up grand conspiracy theories and lies. I mean, my gosh, where do I start?
Talking about this election. We're talking about 2020.
Yes, I'm talking about this election.
Yes, and it was. I'm speaking about rhetorically. Rhetorically.
Oh my!
Trump. He was almost murdered.
The invasion.
Trump was almost murdered twice.
Right. Yes.
And that's because of the rhetoric that the left whips up around him.
That is not the look there. First of all, the guy who shot him was a Trump supporter in Pennsylvania, so that theory totally goes out the window. But secondly, the lowest committers of crime in this country are undocumented immigrants. Why? Because they don't want to get caught. But you listen to Donald Trump, and there are millions of them invading our country, killing everybody right and left. I think that's a lot more of a damaging conspiracy theory than the wokeness. But I will say I agree with you that my lump of coal does also go to, in terms of biggest losers and being overrated, however you want to say it, to the DEI, what I would call the social justice movement. If you ask most people to define woke, it's so funny. I asked them, 80% of the people can't define it. I think it's an obsession with social justice issues. And you saw that with everything from trans to DEI. You know, this country is supposed to be a colorblind, meritocratic country. And what bothers me most about the DEI, the part that really gets in my craw the most, is the E, which stands for equity. See, because equality is equal opportunity, but equity is equal outcome. And that's, I think, is not American, because on its face, but what really bothers me is that a lot of these people that claim they deserve equity, it's not because they didn't work hard enough. It's not because they made poor decisions. It's not because they aren't accountable. It's because the system screwed them. And that's what really gets me. And so I think this is proven to be a loser issue. You don't have to throw trans people under the bus to have women not compete in men's sports, okay? That's not throwing trans people under the bus. It's not throwing trans people under the bus to require someone to be 18 before they can have a sex change operation, okay? It's not throwing people of LGBTQ, whatever, under the bus when you have certain limits on what you do. And this is why people hate Democrats. I cannot say this enough. On kitchen table issues, there was a blind survey where they asked people on the issues, do you approve, do you disapprove, approve, disapprove, by a 10-point margin. People approved of Democratic positions more. But the reason that they lose is because they're obsessed with this social justice stuff that most people don't care about. And then on top of that, of course, there's, a lot of the stuff that which they've retreated from, but is bad memories, like the Green New Deal and Medicare for all and defund the police, even though that was limited to a few people like Cori Bush. And by the way, the Democrats purged the bad people from their ranks, like Cori Bush and Jamal Bowman. Republicans reward them. That's the difference of the two parties. But